Oh, and Senator, just one more thing. Love your suit.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the unforgettable scenes where a horror villain ditches the mask. This list is loaded with spoilers, so beware.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
No! Number 20, Amanda Young, Saw 3. When we last left Jigsaw's victim turned apprentice, she had gone from hero to villain in mere minutes. Saw 3 opens with the standard setup. Jigsaw kidnaps a person he has deemed unworthy of life and brings them to his dingy lair to play his game. But when Dr. Lynn's abductor is revealed, it's not John Kramer under the hood. It's Amanda Young. She actually has the dying Kramer lying in a hospital bed, hooked up to machines. Having now entered her villain phase, Amanda's sadistic tendencies are on full display here. She's not the same character we came to empathize with in the previous movie.
I have a family. I have a family.
Let me give you the simple version. You will keep him alive, whatever it takes.
Number 19, Sheriff Fraser, the Prowler. Donning combat fatigues and a gaiter, the title villain spends the majority of this movie trying to impale young co-eds with his pitchfork and bayonet. The Prowler has some killer makeup work from Tom Savini, so you know the gore is good. We're talking bayonets through heads, pitchforks to the gut, shotguns, even hunting knives. This man came equipped for battle.
I'm here for our date, Rose.
When he's finally unmasked in a struggle with the movie's final girl, it's almost too wild to believe the folksy town sheriff was behind it all. Sheriff George Fraser is played by former Hitchcock actor Farley Granger, so it's doubly uncomfortable to watch a classic Hollywood star in a homicidal rage at the end of the movie.
Go on upstairs, I better talk to this guy.
Number 18, Carol Harbin, Straitjacket. When Whatever Happened to Baby Jane became an unexpected runaway hit, Joan Crawford quickly signed on to play a villainous older woman of her own. She stars as Lucy Harbin, a woman recently released from a mental institution after murdering her husband and her lover. She goes to live with her grown daughter, Carol, a gifted sculptor. This will be important later.
You like it? Oh, yes. I've been puttering around here for years. Uncle Bill turned this guest house into a studio when I got out of school.
A series of axe murders begins, and Lucy is implicated. In the climax, it's revealed that her daughter has been carrying out the killings in a mask she made of her mother's likeness.
You planned?
Of course! I knew your parents would object to the marriage, but we're rid of them now. Everyone will think that Lucy is the murderess!
There's something extra freaky about watching Joan Crawford wrestle Joan Crawford into submission. Number 17, Gunther Tbun, The Funhouse. Travelling carnival workers get a bad rap. Toby Hooper's underrated slasher didn't do much help with that. For some reason, 4 teens decide to spend the night in a funhouse ride.
You will scream with terror. You will beg for release. But there will be no escape.
They encounter Gunther, a mysterious and, as it turns out, murderous member of the carnival staff. We first see him in a Frankenstein's monster mask, but during an argument with his father, the abusive carnival barker, Gunther yanks the mask off, revealing a deformed face. The moment is shocking for first-time viewers, who likely assume he's wearing the mask to scare people, but it turns out he's much scarier without it.
Oh, there ain't no reason to be afraid of him. He's harmless. Once he's been fed.
Number 16, Professor Jared, House of Wax. Vincent Price, the king of schlock and awe, stars in this 3D thriller about a mysterious new wax museum whose opening just happens to coincide with a string of murders. And did we mention his figures are so lifelike?
When I create an important figure, I can't take just any face. I saw pictures of your Kathy Gray in the newspaper. Her face fascinated me, and, well, here she is.
He is the wax sculptor, Professor Jared, who was injured in the fire that destroyed his last museum. His identity as the murderer is uncovered once actress Phyllis Kirk hits him in the face. His wax mask falls away, revealing the scarred face of the man who murdered her friend and tried to murder her. It's a testament to just how lifelike Jared's waxwork really is.
Look of horror spoils your lovely face.
Number 15, Tom Griffin, The Invisible Man. Universal's reboot of a classic monster took a whole lot of modernising, with enough twists and turns to keep up with the nearly 90 years of movie history since the original. Elizabeth Moss plays Cecilia, a woman hunted by her abusive rich ex, Adrian Griffin, who has mastered the power of near-total invisibility.
You think you're learning how to beat me, so I'm going to truly teach you something. If you fight me, I won't ever hurt you. I'll find someone you love and hurt them instead.
Late in the film, the Invisible Man launches another attack. Cecilia finally manages to shoot him down, but when she pulls off his mask, it reveals Adrian's brother, Tom, instead. It's a twist for sure. For the police, it's an open and shut case, exonerating Adrian. Of course, Cecilia rightly realizes Adrian has just framed his brother for his own crimes.
He is not the victim here.
He was tied up in his basement.
If he faked his own death, he could fake his own kidnapping.
Number 14, Kenny Hampson, Terror Train. This locomotive-bound slasher is all about misdirection. The killer changes costumes several times throughout, always assuming the identity of his last victim. There are layers to this unmasking, but his last disguise, a conductor's uniform and translucent face mask, might just be the creepiest.
Oh, thank God, Charlie! Magician's dead. Jesus, I don't know who it is anymore.
Once Jamie Lee Curtis is left alone with the man she thinks is the train conductor, the killer finally reveals himself. Not only is he Kenny Hampson, the social outcast she and her friends once bullied, but he was hiding in plain sight the whole time. He was disguised in drag as a magician's assistant.
I saw your picture in the yearbook. I never knew you liked magic.
I watched you tonight. You liked him.
Number 13, The Miner/Axel, My Bloody Valentine. The citizens of a working-class mining town are stalked by a murderer in a coal miner's uniform and gas mask, carrying a pickaxe. He's assumed to be Harry Warden, the killer who preyed on the town 20 years before.
What are you talking about? Dave is dead.
Having cornered the last two potential victims in the caverns, the killer's gas mask is ripped off, revealing him to be one of the new crop of miners, Axel.
Axel. Why?
After seeing his father murdered by Warden years before, Axel went insane and took up the killer's cause. There was something so haunting about the costume that seeing a person we'd come to know behind that mask made it way more shocking than your usual slasher whodunit. Number 12, The Phantom of the Opera. Starring Lon Chaney, a film star famous for his dramatic transformations, Universal's adaptation of this French novel was a true shocker. Early in the film, an opera singer is abducted by the Phantom, who haunts the Paris Opera House. She tries to see the identity of her creepy admirer. After a suspenseful back and forth, she removes his mask to reveal the horrific, skeletal face underneath. Chaney's own meticulous makeup design for the Phantom was extremely painful. Luckily, it paid off big time. The sequence was reported to have had silent-era audiences scream in terror. Number 11, The Predator. While it was clearly an attempt to cash in on the fame of post-Terminator Arnold Schwarzenegger and his famous one-liners, Predator turned out to have true staying power. It has one of the most incredible and unique villains ever on screen. The Predator alien is a grotesque and vicious movie monster.
You must have wounded it. Its blood was on the leaves.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
The climactic battle scene sees the creature taking off his helmet to reveal its true face. The result is a spectacular, if horrific, feat of makeup and production design. Of course, Schwarzenegger's iconic response made sure this unmasking would go down as a great movie moment.
You're one ugly motherfucker.
Number 10. Polite Leader, The Purge. In this world, for one night of the year, every crime is legal, including murder. And on the night of the Purge, it seems there are a lot more people out there who feel inclined to kill rather than just loot or deface public property. For the Sandin family, the smart thing to do is hunker down in their bomb shelter of a house. However, when the doorbell rings, they see a group of purgers through their cameras. The leader politely requests to come in, and to show the seriousness of his request, he removes his mask.
Your home tells me you're good folk, just like us.
His chillingly innocent smile lets the audience know that he loves this night more than a kid loves Halloween.
If you don't deliver him by the aforementioned time, we'll release the beast on him. And on you.
Number 9. The Masked Man. Hush. In this inventive and suspenseful film, a woman is stalked in her home in the woods. To make matters worse, she is deaf and can only rely on visuals when trying to keep the killer at bay. In a moment of desperation, Maddie pens a message to the killer, letting him know that he can still just walk away. She hasn't seen his face and she won't call the police. Apparently amused, the killer casually removes his mask, making the point clear that it doesn't matter to him if she sees him or not. To this killer, she's already dead.
You've seen it now, haven't you?
Number 8. Sam, Trick or Treat. Throughout this mid-aughts horror anthology, there's one little character tying them all together. Sam. The physical embodiment of the spirit of Halloween, this child-sized goblin enjoys a good scare, spooky stories, and, of course, candy.
Can you get one?
With his face hidden beneath a burlap sack for the majority of the film, it's not until the final installment that he's finally exposed. And while he may look like a little kid from the outside, this is a face not even a mother could love. Number 7. Tomás/Simón, The Orphanage, aka El Orfanato.
Simón? Simón!
After Laura buys and moves back to the orphanage where she grew up, her young son, Simón, makes friends with a boy named Tomás, who may or may not be real. But soon after, Simón goes missing. What's weird is Laura herself begins to see the imaginary friend, who hides his face with a mask. That's why she believes it's her missing boy, or the ghost of a social worker's son who drowned. Her search finally leads her to a secret basement where she finds a body, which she originally thinks, or just hopes, belongs to Tomás. But sadly, when she removes the mask, she sees it's actually her son. It's a heartbreaking moment in an otherwise chilling film. Number 6. Lamb Mask. You're next. Having dinner with your dysfunctional family is bad enough, especially when they could be your future in-laws. But throw murder into the mix and it's a whole new nightmare. When masked killers begin to pick off the feuding fam one by one, it seems there's no stopping them. But when Erin begins to fight back, it becomes clear that the attack wasn't so random after all. With each killer hiding behind a different animal mask, it's finally revealed that the man in the lamb mask is a hired assassin, and that the younger Davison brother is responsible for the whole plot.
Excuse me? You say that like it's my fault.
Number 5. Dr. Hannibal Lecter, The Silence of the Lambs. Having bargained his way out of the Baltimore State Hospital and into the care of the Memphis police, the suave Hannibal the Cannibal makes his bid for freedom. Alerted by gunshots, the officers below rush to the 5th floor and make a grisly discovery. With Hannibal escaped, Officer Boyle gutted, and Officer Pembry horribly disfigured, they rush Pembry off with paramedics as they initiate their hunt for Lecter. However, en route to the hospital, the audience is given a glimpse of just how far this cunning criminal is willing to go to get free.
And the patient is on 10 liters of oxygen.
Number 4. Michael Myers. Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers.
Uncle?
Talk about a one-track mind. Back at his quest to kill off the remaining members of his family, Michael sets off to finally kill his niece Jamie, having failed the previous year. The girl seeks refuge from her crazed uncle in the attic, but when he finds her, the fact that he's about to kill his own flesh and blood seems to hold him back.
Let me see.
In a moment of pity, Michael takes off his mask and is revealed to be crying, suggesting that he's struggling with his inner demons and perhaps even feeling remorse.
Let me.
Number 3. Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Few horror movie antagonists are as viscerally frightening as Leatherface, and he's not hitting up the local Walmart for a rubber mask. He'll take yours, as in your face, that is. In the 1974 classic, while we get a load of the rest of the family, we never get to see the Mad Butcher's actual face. But in the 2003 remake, we finally get a glimpse of the chainsaw-wielding cannibal. This classic horror villain is so named because of the leather he uses for his mask. So it's safe to assume that he needs to change that mask semi-frequently. It's while he's sewing himself a new leather face that he briefly takes off his old mask in order to don the fresher one. Number 2, Billy Loomis and Stu Macher, Scream.
Surprise, Sydney.
This classic 90s horror flick from the great Wes Craven leaves everyone guessing until the very end, in large part because of its brilliant twist. Turns out it isn't just one killer stalking Sidney Prescott and the other teens of Woodsboro High School, but 2. The joke is that in horror films, it's always the boyfriend. But it never is. Well, in this self-aware scarefest, it actually is. That catch is he's been working alongside his best friend under the guise of Ghostface. Together they even fake Billy's death in a great twist that helped set the standard for modern horror. Frequently imitated, never duplicated, this was the figurative unmasking of the decade.
What's the matter, Sydney? You look like you've seen a ghost.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1, Jason Voorhees, Friday the 13th, Part 3. One of the most famous masks in the cinematic horror canon belongs to one Jason Voorhees. However, it wasn't until the 3rd installment of the Friday the 13th franchise that this mask was introduced. Before that, he just used a cloth sack to hide his features. Following the events of Part 2, Jason is back to finish off Chris Higgins. Donning the hockey mask to conceal his deformed face, he hunts down Chris and her friends. Ultimately, it's during a fight to the death in the barn, when Jason needs to free himself from a rope that's become tangled around his neck, that he unmasks and reveals his deformed face. What was your favourite horror movie unmasking scene? Tell us in the comments.
Now let's see who the Phantom really is. Ta-da!
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.